You will never know what's missing until you find it. And my hope and my dream for you is that you will never give up the pursuit of feeling the way you want to feel. Hey, it's Heather Chauvin, wife, mother of 3 boys, former social worker, dreamer, recovering rescuer, stage 4 cancer survivor. I started my motherhood journey when I was 18. I was single and living off government assistance. Beyond all of these titles and labels, I'm a human being, just like you, attempting to navigate it all while feeling good. My goal on this podcast is to show you that you can live an energized, sustainable life both at home and in your work. On this show, I attempt to keep it real with stories, interviews, and random thoughts. This is not a business or career podcast, and it's not a parenting podcast. It's both and so much more. You will laugh, you will cry, and maybe even get a little frustrated with the truth you've been hiding from yourself. I believe all human behavior is a language, whether it's through your child's behavior, your health, or a relationship. And when we learn to listen instead of react, we begin to understand what it truly means to feel alive and in control. If you haven't already, go grab a copy of my book, Dying to Be a Good Mother. You can purchase it wherever books are sold online. And if you're interested in how to integrate this work into your life and get quicker results, you can learn more about my mastery and mastery business coaching experiences at heatherchauvin.com/work with me. Heather Chauvin, CHAUVIN.com/work with me. And you have a personal question or a topic you'd like me to answer on this podcast, then text me 313-710-5199. 313-710-5199. All right, let's change your life. Let's dig in. Hey, ladies. I am really excited for today's conversation. Today's a business podcast, so every Thursday we try to put out a business conversation. And today's a really exciting conversation. I invited 3 women who are current students of mine inside of my Mastery Business Program, or have worked with me in some capacity. And it wasn't a testimonial about their work with me. It was featuring 3 speakers, 3 women that I highly respect, who have a mission and an impact that they want to make in the world. And I think this is really important because I'm a huge fan of collaboration and community. And I truly believe that we are all here to serve the world in our own way. It doesn't matter if you sell a product, a service, if you are in a traditional profession or not. I believe that women in business have a lot of power, but we have also been conditioned to forget our power. And I think it's really, really important that we learn how to take our power back. There's so many ways that we need to do that. It's not just about the action that we take, it's about unlearning and rewiring our brain and the way that we believe or who we believe that we are and the stories that we tell ourselves and how we set up our days and how we hold boundaries with our family and have those incredibly uncomfortable conversations so that we can step up and into the woman that we desire to be. And so I really enjoy having conversations, and I don't ever try to show up as the expert. I'm one woman, one human with strong desires to make an impact in this world. And the more I do that, the more I lean into those desires and the more I hold the boundary of how I want to feel in my life and, the equal exchange of energy that I want to put out into the world and want to receive. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort. It's daily action. It's intention. It's consistency. it's not exhausting because I have found a way to make my business and my life passionate. And I have found it, the things that light me up. But along my business journey, the one thing that I really kind of had to unlearn was that there was one right way to do it, that there's one blueprint. And for me, the more I evolve and grow as a person, the more my business evolves, the more my message evolves, and, the different ways that I want to work with people. So I hope you are excited for today's conversation. And I also just want to remind you, towards the end of this conversation, the last 20 minutes of this audio, I talk about the Mastery Business Program. So we've opened the doors to my Mastery Business Program. I've been doing this for multiple years now. Mastery Business is a 10-month coaching experience. And it was actually a byproduct of my signature mastery program. And I was attracting some women who, were doing the personal work and they were transforming their personal lives, but they also wanted to do that in their business, creating more profitability in their business, creating more ease and sustainability, learning how to delegate and hire a team, creating that capacity within themselves, and really just stepping up and into the woman that they desire to be. So again, new level, new devil. There's always more learning and growth. And when we really embrace business as a personal development journey and a personal growth opportunity, we can see where change is possible. And that's the beauty of being human when you choose to live a freedom-based life. It's a limitless adventure. The possibilities are endless and the work never stops. So we can make it fun. We can make it exciting. We can sit with our fear and our grief and our sadness, and we can also choose joy on a daily basis. So that's what I love to teach women. I have a strong community of quality women who are ready to be of service to one another. They're ready to be challenged. And I just am so incredibly grateful for the community and the women that I attract. And so if you are interested in joining us, not only is now the time to come on in and see if my community is a good fit for you, you can go to Heather Chauvin. So my last name is spelled CHAUVIN.com/business. heatherchauvin.com/business. It talks about the program. There's a video on it. There's a lot of information there. But your next step is also to book a one-off session, not a one-off session, a decision support call with somebody on my team. And what they will do with you is they're going to have a genuine, authentic conversation with you to see where you're at in your business and where you are in general. So if we feel that, Mastery might be a better fit for you. Our beta testing program that we're starting, Mastery Jumpstart, which is an 8-week program, is a better fit for you. They're going to have conversations with you about that. But my goal for you is that when you do enter Mastery Business, we're front loading the program for you. So you're making your investment back within the first 30 to 60 days. That said, anyone who registers for a decision support call before November 1st of 2021, depending on when you're listening to this, will get a one-on-one, you heard this right, a one-on-one business strategy session where we're going to cut through the bullshit, get to the point, and I'm going to show you where to focus your energy and attention to start making that money, that impact, the sustainability, whatever it is that you're craving. If you're like, money's not an issue, I got the money, but I'm burning out, we're going to create that plan for you so you can hit the ground running when you are inside of our program. So heatherchauvin.com/business. Again, that one-on-one business strategy session with me is only valid if you join before November 1st, but you do have to have that conversation. So book that call now. All right, let's dive into today's conversation. And during the conversation, I want you to really think about yourself. Where are you in your business? What level are you in? What inner work do you need to do? And really, regardless if it's me or not, give yourself permission to invest in yourself. Give yourself permission to invest in coaches. Give yourself permission to invest in therapists, to invest in quality sleep, to invest whatever the hell you need. I give you full permission to just start, like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, like do that thing that scares the crap out of you, because I would not be where I am today without community and support. And that has been the biggest freaking learning in this whole journey, is that you cannot do it alone. So let's dive in. You're going to meet Ashley, Brooke, and Melissa. They all share their podcast, their Instagram, and I want you to go follow them. And when you do, send them a DM and let them know that you listen to this podcast. Let's dive in. We're here. My little trigger finger. I feel like I'm definitely creeping up to middle age. I'm literally sitting like this, going to the chiropractor all the time. I need a mouse. I need a better situation going on here. So welcome everybody. We are doing a Why Not You business edition. I am hiding in a rented office space because this is real life reality. My office space flooded a few months ago in our house, and today is actually the day that they started doing the renovation. So not only did I not have Wi-Fi at home, but it was just utter chaos, as life is, which is the reason why we're having this conversation today. So this conversation is geared towards women in business. The reason why I wanted to do a direct business Q&A Why Not You edition is because I think there are unique challenges that women face when they are trying to build an empire, and especially women who are raising families. I think culturally, we are raised differently. Biologically, we are different. Our brain is designed different. I think we have superpowers, but I also think if we do not harness them correctly, our superpowers, we can burn out, end up in extreme poverty. And what I mean by that is not just financially, but also energetically, feeling this lack and not enoughness, that we're overgiving, right? Overgiving of time, overgiving of energy, overgiving of resources. And then kind of getting to the state in our being and in our lives where we're like, this is what it is. I have young children, or I have X amount of people in my family, or all of these responsibilities. And then we find ourselves yet again with these desires inside of us that want to be fulfilled and want to be nurtured and want to come out into the world. And we're not fostering them. And if you're not fostering them and nurturing them, then you slowly become angry and resentful. And that spills out into your family, that spills out into your children, that spills out everywhere. So I have a core belief that the more women thrive on their terms, whatever that looks like, in your mind, in your body, in your work, in your soul, on your terms, not what somebody else said, not, this Facebook ad that you saw, not even what I say, on your terms. This is how we're going to change the world, because you are aligned, you are present, you are content. And not only that, these three ladies that we're going to be talking to today, I know all have fear, all have worry, all have doubt, all have all the stories, the same ones that I have or had as a woman, as a caregiver. And I just think it's really, really important to hear these real conversations about what it takes to be really successful. And I'm air quoting because I truly believe we can define what success looks like on our terms. And that's also around the stage and season that you're in. So these three ladies are also have been in my world in different capacities over the last little bit. Some are a few months, some are a few years. And that is what happens. I see you, I see your potential, and then I'm like, let's go, let's do this. And then they send me little poop emojis and little vomit emojis, and we make it happen. So it takes courage to be yourself. So, ladies, I would like to all three of you to introduce yourselves a little bit about, what it is that you do and kind of what you stand for, what your values are in your life and in your business. So, Ashley, I'll give the microphone to you first.
Virtual microphone. Love it.
There you
Thank
go.
you, Heather. Yes, fully one of those who send you poop and vomit emojis on the regular. So, hi, everyone. My name is Ashley Livingstone. I am the founder and chief engagement officer with Our Forte and Teams with Edge. I have created a successful event engagement business and now a client and team engagement business where I work with leaders to help them find ease and connection with their teams and their clients, all of those things that they know they need to do, but slide off the side of their desk. And I get a lot of joy in helping leaders find that ease and helping them build real connections with people. I think for me, that's one of my core desired values is connection. And I truly believe in what's possible. So I don't like being held back by I can't or that won't work. I love finding solutions for people to see what is possible. And that's been one of the greatest, I think, ahas for me in working with Heather is just seeing things in a different way. And now I get to help other people do the same thing and help their businesses.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you. Brooke, and then Melissa.
Hi, Brooke Rasmanowski. I am a nutritionist and a trainer. I've been in the industry for over 13 years, over 10 of it in a corporate realm. And after having my daughter, wanted to see a little bit more freedom and make a bigger impact with women and through different personal health experiences that I felt. And then I saw my clients experiencing, and especially after becoming a mom, I was constantly told about how tough it was to focus on yourself and how you don't have the time as a mom. And it's just different. And while it is different, I really noticed that it was a lot of where we were putting our energy and how we were prioritizing those things. So a lot of my business is centered around women and moms and understanding why your body's functioning the way it is so that you can know how to feel your best and truly feel empowered in your skin. I think we don't need to have a PhD to know how our body functions and know how nutrition and workouts are playing a role. So that's a lot of what I focus on is prioritizing empowering you and your body so that you can make it work no matter what stage of life you're in.
Love it. And I'm starting to see a theme around possibility and redefining the conversation around what it is to be a woman, a mother, a business owner, and that you can have your cake and eat it too. It's probably just a different formula than what we've been taught, not this all or nothing mentality. So Melissa, I'm going to give the microphone to you and then we will talk about, dive a little bit deeper.
Great. Thanks for having me. My name is Melissa Giller, and I'm the founder of Life with Soul. It's a personal development coaching company that I started actually in August 2020. So middle of pandemic, I just decided to launch an online business. Coming off the heels of quitting a corporate job and having two babies back to back and really losing myself in that process. And so I work a lot with women in similar situations who feel that their life has completely changed since becoming a parent and who feel that their old ways of being maybe starting to catch up with them and isn't something they feel they're interested in passing along to their children. So I really focus on creating the change in ourselves and being the change in ourselves that we want to see in our children and in our families. And I'm also taking that work and expanding that into business because I came from, as I mentioned, the corporate world. I was a senior management consultant with a big four firm. I have an MBA, and I'm realizing as I've gone down the personal development and leadership journey, this is all so connected. And so I love bringing in the multiple aspects of parenting, of relating to others, and of alignment in work, whether that's for yourself or for somebody else. Wherever you go, there you are, right? So that's what I love to focus on and help women achieve their dreams based on that self-trust factor.
Love it. Oh my gosh. This is going to be such a juicy conversation. Okay. So we're probably going to go for about another 45 minutes. It's going to go by super quick. And I want to do like rapid fire questions for everybody here. And the real raw and behind the scenes as well. And at the end of the conversation, everyone's going to talk about where you could find more of them on Instagram, their podcasts, things like that. But also, if you are interested in working with me inside of my Mastery Business program or any other programs that I offer, I'll let you know how to get there. And we also have a fast action bonus coming up for you as well. So listening to all three of you, what I'm hearing is this wanting to break generational patterns and wanting to overcome, and also stepping into this energy of possibility instead of fear or not enoughness. Now, let's pull back the curtains and be real, because the point A of I know what I want, right? Like that little spark inside of you, and then getting to where you want to be. Like I know all of you maybe not be at like that big vision, because I think the second we get to the next vision, we're like, okay, what's next? What's next? What's next? And we're kind of constantly moving that goalpost. That's another conversation. But I want to talk about like, what is it that you have actually had to go through in order to step in and start to break those patterns, start to step into that possibility? Because this is where I feel like people screw themselves, because it's emotionally uncomfortable. So can all of you, in like a minute or less, talk about what that emotional process is like when you're actually physically choosing to take a stand for your message? We'll just do the same round. Ashley, Brooke, and then Melissa.
Okay, so fear. I think for me, the biggest piece has been fear of judgment and comparison. And that's something that I've worked really hard, and I still work really hard at. Even as I listen to Brooke and Melissa talk, I'm like, trying not to compare myself. So that is just something that I constantly have to put into check, and I can catch myself now. But that fear of changing what my business was, that fear of being seen, the fear of potential failure, all of those stories that I have told myself for so many years, I had to come face to face with all of that throughout this process. And I still do. I think that that's one of, the myths that goes away. That doesn't go away. And being able to catch yourself doing it and then reshape your story or reframe the story is where I'm at now. And just trying to be brave, trying to do what I want to do for other women, for myself. And that's been a big piece for me.
I love it. If only we learned these skills in childhood, right?
Yeah.
Of like, how do I actually stop comparing myself, or grab, like when I catch myself grabbing to that thought, come back and be like, okay, come back. It's always these big life changers, like building a business or parenting or something that really kicks our ass and makes us like, okay, now I need to learn this skill.
Yep.
Brooke.
I think for me, especially transitioning from a corporate side, I was coming off of a successful corporate career, and I knew I was good at what I did and the roles that I had. And then I stepped into this entrepreneur thing, and no one in my family was an entrepreneur. And I remember when I left my corporate job, when I was pregnant with our daughter, we had a VP at the company say to me, we were talking about another role, and he was like, well, you're not going to do this once you have a kid anyways, right? Like your responsibilities are going to change. And I had that so stuck in my head, because I was like, well, what do you mean? What do you mean I'm not going to do this when I have kids? Like, why wouldn't I do this? And it wasn't really a question to me. And that's when I really started to notice the things that were said about moms and how, the thought process around it. And I had a really hard struggle transitioning into the entrepreneurial role because I was so used to being successful that I was starting over, and I felt like I wasn't successful. I felt like, great, I'm in this like beginning stage again. I spent a decade doing this and now I'm starting over from square one again. And I was comparing a lot. I was comparing where I was to where I had been, and it wasn't the same thing. And I found a lot of comparing in where I was in the growth as an entrepreneur too. I was seeing people who were like, oh, I did this in 1 year. I did this in 2 years. And I was like, well, great. I haven't done that at all. And I was finding a lot of that resistance coming in there. And I've told you before, Heather, like coming from the fitness side, I knew how to push through things. I knew what uncomfort meant. I knew how to like go through those, but I didn't know how to feel through that and truly tune into why I was the way I was and where I was at and how to move through that. So I think it was really a lot for me. And I think being a mom cracked me open in this side too, of like really learning how to feel and seeing that side of myself that like I knew was there and I wanted there, and I just didn't know how to get to that other end of it.
Perfect. And my head was nodding because there are so many women that come into my community, whether it's in mastery or mastery business, who have seen traditional success, right? And so it's like, I have the education, like I checked all the boxes. Why is there this part of me that feels like I'm failing? There's another skill that's like considered, I guess you would say like a soft skill, right? Like something that is not, meanwhile, it's probably the biggest skill of all, which is, to me, it's emotional intelligence. Because I feel like if you could master your emotion in any situation, someone could spit in your face and you would be able to be like, I'm sending you love and light. I'm sending you love and light. My point of that, going on a tantrum or tangent, but my point of saying that is it's an ego, like it's a dent to an ego when you're like, I've been successful, or I've made this amount and I have to start from zero again. Like that is hard to build yourself back up. So, yeah, an entrepreneur life is very different than corporate life. Anytime I have somebody that comes in my world from corporate or joins my team from corporate, they're like, oh my gosh, you move so fast. And I'm like, no, here we get shit done because we're the ones that are paying the bills. This does not go through a board of directors. Like we don't have meetings after meetings after meetings. It's like, boom, didn't work. Oh, wind changed directions. We got to move. So it's not always about the systems or the structures. It's like these internal skills and emotional intelligence. And when you learn those things, you're like, dang, this is translating into my parenting. This is translating into my relationships and your health as well. Melissa, what about you? I don't even remember the original question.
Yeah. And I feel like after hearing both Ashley and Brooke, my answer has changed because I totally agree with everything they've said and I don't want to repeat it. But I think the similar theme that I hear from them and that I've experienced is all about the release of perfectionism, because so much of it is that release in comparison, right? And feeling afraid to be seen and vulnerable, that's based in perfectionism. And for me, I've really struggled in my life previously with emotional perfectionism and trying to keep this cool, calm, collected aura, which is just simply not human. It's not true. And I see that come up for myself in business challenges where, as you said, it's fast paced. You have to pivot. Something doesn't work. You try it out. Well, you try something else again. But you can sometimes get lost in that, like, oh, well, it didn't work, or no one came, or no one bought it. And she's doing so great. And how come I can't have that? And you could get really stuck. Or you could take that approach of growth and the growth mindset of it's just trial and error. There's no such thing as failure. I tried this, it didn't work, but I learned something. There's always something to learn, and take it and apply something different from there. Take a different route and you might be surprised. And with that, I think with practice instills the confidence in yourself, because you start to realize that, hey, I can do this my own way. And it doesn't have to make sense to anybody else, or it doesn't have to be what the guru says it should be for marketing or all of the things. The confidence comes from doing what feels good to you, which is in alignment with you, which you can take all the messages from other people and keep what fits and develop your own approach.
Love it. I just put a post up the other day about, if there was one size fits all for parenting, there wouldn't be so many parenting books because everybody does have their own approach, their own children, their own way of being in the world. And I think when we all can see the through line, right? That's what I keep hearing you say, like the through line of like, what's the commonalities here? And I'm going to take that and then leave the rest. And that, as you said, really comes back to self-trust, right? Trusting yourself and the bigger picture. And all of these are skills. Like self-trust is a skill and you learn as you go. Okay. So I'm going to read this question and I would love your comments on it. And then we're going to get into a little bit of, how do we, right? How do we create that alignment? So I'm a very new entrepreneur, 10 months in. I have 2 young children, 1 and 4. I started a team with 3 unpaid interns and leadership. As I knew is emotionally uncomfortable. Emotionally uncomfortable, as Heather says. I'm struggling with knowing how much my desire to slow down, do less in my business, and therefore need less help, smaller team, is fear and avoidance versus truly needing to simplify and streamline. It's hard to know the difference. So I get this question all the time. How is it fear or is it resistance? I'm curious, all 3 of you, if you can identify that. And if you can't, that's totally okay. How do you know when you're resisting something versus when you are fearing something, meaning avoiding, meaning like, I'm resisting this, I should go there, but I'm resisting it versus I'm not supposed to head in that direction.
I can answer. I can start. So I have 0 poker face, and that's how I typically know. So when somebody comes up with an idea, or Heather asks me to do something, or somebody else says something like, you should speak here. If I feel it in my stomach, where I feel like, oh shit, no, I don't want to do that. But then I'm like smiling about it, that's kind of my tell is it's like that mixture of excited, but scared. And that's how I really know that it's something I'm resisting because I know that I should really do it. Versus, no, that feels gross and I don't want to do that. Like there's a very different feeling inside where like my face gives it away and I know I need to do it. I'm not sure if that's helpful.
Yeah. And would you say that just came with time and testing to identify that? Yeah,
absolutely. I think it was for me really knowing the difference in my body and what I truly dread, right? There's things in my business that I really did not like to do. And now I have someone else who does that for me because it still has to get done. But it was sucking the life. It was an energy leak for me. And it was preventing me from being able to take the next step, preventing me from being able to be creative versus something that's exciting and is going to launch me. But it's still kind of scary.
Love it. Brooke, what about you?
Mine's very similar. I feel a lot of things in my gut, but I was starting to notice, and this definitely took time. In the beginning, I feel like I was just running myself through and just in power mode pretty much. But I started to notice when I would go to certain appointments or things like that, if I was feeling exhausted or dreading the appointment or drained by it when I left it, that was a big sign that I needed to make a switch and a transition. And I did transition. I transitioned doing more private things in my business to more group focused things because I do enjoy speaking in a group versus in a private one-on-one setting. And so I did have to make some of those transitions. But I had to start to tune in a lot to like, does this feel aligned to what I really want? And does this energetically align for me? And if it does, then it's a yes. And if it doesn't, and I'm feeling drained or it's feeling forced and like I have to do, and doing it out of a like, but I need this type of a thing, then it's a no. And I had to learn to just be comfortable being uncomfortable during that transition too.
Awesome. Melissa.
Yeah, again, I'm always the last, so I agree with you all.
We'll start with you next time. You'll double back.
No, I was going to say, like, I too feel it in my gut. And I'd be curious to know what everybody's human design is here, because I've just learned through mine that is actually where, like, I'm very intuitive. I'm a splenic projector, if that makes sense to anybody. So I get an intuitive hit right away. And for me, it's been also a level of reflection and thinking back in my life of, okay, well, when did I feel those things and what action did I take? And did that ultimately lead me down a path I wanted to go on? Or when did I ignore how I was feeling and do something anyway and, see the results of dissatisfaction or unhappiness or stress, struggle that I obviously wouldn't have wanted in the past. And I think too, for me, like when I find myself in a place of resistance or hiding or lack of creativity, it's usually a signal that actually something emotionally is off for me, because when I'm aligned, I'm really creative in my business and I have a lot of ideas and passion. And just the other day, we had a stomach bug go through my house and I was trying to work and I just was like this big sense of, and I can't. And for me, I knew I needed more sleep, better food, and time alone. And so flip the switch, everybody's better. They're gone off to their places they need to be, and I'm in flow. And so it's really amazing when you listen to your body and how you feel and connecting the dots between something showing up in business, but it might not be a business issue.
Ooh, that's good. And so we're gonna go into like talking about health and hormones and vitality in a second. But there was something that you said that came up for me around resistance. I was like, how can I answer this a little bit differently than everybody else? And I think when I started my business, I had a lot of unresolved anger. So when I resisted something, I was almost defensive about it. So I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but I had a lot of anger triggers. And so it was this big, thick wall that I kept, and I didn't know what I was protecting, right? Like maybe an example would be, and I don't even know if this makes sense, but an example would be I'd have somebody on my team and then I felt like they disappointed me, and because I was trying to get something done and it wasn't done my way, aka I'm trying to be too controlling and micromanage everything. And then so my trigger is anger, and then I just stonewall and I'm like, I'll do it. And then I overwhelm myself. And so meanwhile, my resistance was actually to receiving help and being open to receiving help. And it wasn't that I was necessarily afraid or I shouldn't go there. I couldn't even identify what is like a heck no, like I shouldn't do that yet versus what am I just resisting? And I think it was because it's that emotional detox. I talk about emotional poops all the time, right? What you resist will persist and grow bigger. So whether it was parenting that cracked you open, whether it's business that cracked you open, whether it's your health journey that cracked you open, a relationship, something's going to crack you open. COVID, which you were like, oh shit, my business wasn't sustainable. My life isn't sustainable. Now I have to change everything. Like that's a lot to do. And so sometimes it's really overwhelming and you can't tell, is this resistance or do I just not go here? So I had to look at what was being presented to me, which is, why am I refusing to receive help? And then slowly pull back those layers. So let's talk about health. I've talked openly about my hormone journey. I think that's an ongoing process. A lot of the ladies that I attract are, 30s, 40s, 50s. And I think as a culture, as women, we ask ourselves, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Why can't I get this right? Why don't I have enough energy? And then we slowly try to overcompensate, which is overworking, over-caffeinated, under-nurtured, absolutely no movement. And then we wonder why we feel dead inside, why we're angry, miserable, all of that. So coming from a business perspective, a female who owns a business, wants to start a business, who has a desire deep inside of her gut to thrive, to literally thrive. You want to feel energized. You want to make a lot of money. You want to make a big impact. how does movement and hormones and nutrition come into play? So, Brooke, I'm going to give it to you.
How long can I talk for? Because I have a lot I can say.
Exactly. Just let her out on the get on the soapbox. You literally have 2 minutes.
It's literally your body at a biological level. So like at a cellular level, every function in your body is determined by how you're eating, how you're moving, and how it's internally feeling. So your hormones, especially as a woman, can be a really powerful thing. And when you're feeling out of alignment in your body, it's because you're working against what your body is naturally designed to do. We have two major cycles in our month. We have our follicular and our luteal stage. And in our follicular, I call it like your social superpower stage. Like you feel really good. This is the time in your business where you're probably like go getting it and super excited about stuff. And then you get into your luteal stage and you're like wanting to chill on the couch watching TV and feel like eating a pan of brownies, right? And then as a woman, we go back and forth between these stages. And if you're unaware of it, which I was for 30 years of my life, you're like, God, I felt so good last week. What was going on? And then this week I feel terrible. What's wrong with me? Why am I not able to keep up with this? And instead of tuning into what's going on in your body, we think, no, I need to push through. I need to power in here. I'm going to wake up and do my 5 a.m. workout. I'm going to go crush my body. I'm going to drink the caffeine to get through this. And then we're creating this perpetual cycle where we don't feel good. And then we get drained and we get run down. And then it leads to that time where we can't tune into our emotions. We can't tune into where we're at because we're so busy living in this survival state and powering through that our body isn't in a safe mode, and your body needs to feel safe. And we've taken it away from that, and we can't tune into where we need to be because we're so busy living away from that.
I know you could go on and on forever, which is why people need to follow you. So post your Instagram in the chat, and then we'll tell everybody at the end. Because I think it's essential. When I started to track my cycles, it wasn't even, I mean, I use apps because I would say I'm a lazy cycle syncer, but once you identify where you are, it's almost like that shame of the inner critic. You could just take it off. Last week was my menstrual phase, and I was watching my emotional, body, my emotions. And I'm like, okay, now I can like let go of the shame of why I'm not motivated or what is really going on. And also I think then your brain is also focused on what's wrong with me. And then you're looking in the world to get that feedback of what's wrong with me. So you're going to healthcare practitioners and asking for a diagnosis. And then of course they're going to give you a diagnosis, because if you walk into any healthcare practitioner's office, they're literally there to say, let's find what's wrong with you and let's give you $1,000 worth of supplements to try to fix this when you're just menstruating, or you are a female and you have a cycle. But there is, if your gut is telling you that something is off, yes. And anyways, that's a whole other conversation. We could go down that rabbit hole. My point is, when we can say, what's right with me? Well, okay, I'm poo-pooing all over myself this week, maybe because in my cycle, that's what's happening. But like, what is going on? What have I done right with my body? And what else can I do right? Can I drink more water today instead of, walking around the world being like, I'm broken. My body hates me. It has neglected me and blah, blah, blah. It's rejected me. And it's like, you're still living. You have survived 100% of your days here in this body, and you've probably beat the crap out of it. So maybe we can be a little gentler and kinder to ourselves. So, I mean, we could have these conversations all day, every day. But what I'm hearing is that you actually have like a body, and the body is a part of nature. And if you neglect it and you treat yourself like a robot with no emotions, and no physical needs, like basic human needs, like water and nutrition and movement, you will feel like you are dying. You will feel, you will feel gross. And that is normal, unfortunately. And it is not taught. And I think it is one of the most secret business strategies ever, because your capacity for growth changes, right? So people are like, how do you do it all? I take care of myself when I don't live in survival mode, because when I did that, I had to write a book about it. It didn't work out so well. So anywho, Ashley, we're going to go to you now. You are standing in front of a woman in business. She's like, what the fuck is Heather going to say?
I'm like, what are you doing right now, Heather?
I have no idea what I'm doing because I am always keeping people on their toes.
Mm-hmm.
So you are standing in front of a woman and she's struggling. She's struggling hardcore. You see how bad she wants to thrive in her business. And maybe she's your ideal client. What would you get on your soapbox about and tell her? What does she need to hear?
Again, how much time do I have? No. Okay. So I really don't like excuses. I think that that's my new soapbox is when people say to me, I don't have time. I don't have time to go to sleep. I don't have time to take care of my body. I don't have time to connect with my team. I don't have time to thank my clients. All of these things where we use time and being busy as an excuse, I think that that is one of the biggest downfalls that we all have. And we've probably all been guilty of it. There are definitely things that slide off the side of my desk. But when I see it sliding off the side of my desk time and time again, I outsource it or I bring someone on to fix it. Because just like drinking your water and going to bed and moving your body, there are things that you need to do to nurture your business as well. And using busy and not enough time is just an excuse. So I would definitely start with helping women or any business leader see where they actually have space and where their energy leaks and their time are, because we all definitely spend a lot of time on our phones. There's always time for social media. There's time for binge watching Netflix, right? There's all of these things where I don't want to say waste time, but use our time differently. And so finding those efficiencies, helping women time block so that they're making the most out of their working hours, and figuring out where they need to bring in resources to help them with their team and their clients and life. And I would also say you have to go to sleep. Sleep is so important. And I think it's one of those pieces that we all forget, right? We build in the morning routine and the drinking of the water and those things. Go to bed. Yeah. Get a really good night's sleep, like consistently.
Yeah, it drives me nuts when people are like, oh, how do you work? They're like, oh, the kids go to bed and then I'm up for 3 hours. And it's like, and then that bleeds into the next day and the next day and the next day. And it's not that you can't, right? Maybe you do, but then, the next day is a recovery day. Like you've built that in. Mm-hmm. And so you're just being mindful. I'm just hearing again and again that you have to realize that you matter, how you really show up, and the culture that you create within your team really makes a big impact. I know my team is exploding right now, and the biggest, it's me just letting go of control, right? Me letting go and being open to being supported, but also realizing that I don't need to see the potential in everybody all the time and raise them to their potential. I can actually hire people who scare the crap out of me a little bit and be like, wow, she's going to challenge me to up my leadership game and accountability game. Yeah. Your team and your clients are your business. And if that goes to the wayside, you have no business, and you have a very toxic culture, which is what I hear from people again and again, that they are literally trying to run away from toxic culture. Yeah. And yet it's like, but you have the ability to change that.
And you get into this cycle, right? It's like things are going good, you grow, you can't sustain, and you're back because you've lost your clients and you've lost your team, and you just keep going round and around. And you really just want to be on this gradual upswing instead of running around in circles.
What do you, just off the top of your head, like what's the number one excuse besides time? So when you're like, I can solve your problem, like we're going to help you with team engagement. We're going to help you with client engagement. We're going to get you out of this cycle. What would you say is resistance for them?
People often will just say, oh, we're not ready for that. I have to wait till I get this person on board, or they're always looking for some other magic milestone, I guess, before they take action. And I think it's like anything else in life, like you just have to start. It doesn't have to be perfect and it doesn't have to be the ideal situation. You just have to start and make it a priority.
I literally saw all of you go like this, like, yeah, they're waiting for the magic pill. They're waiting for like that aha moment, like the clouds have parted and it's like, I think we've all bought into some Disney fairy tale that this is going to show up. And it's like, you just get those wheels turning. Yep. So Melissa, I'm curious for you, what would be that soapbox conversation that you would want to have with a woman in front of you?
Okay, so for me, it boils down to self-leadership and self-trust, which we touched on earlier. And so much of the kind of struggle that comes across my plate, my desk, is people in relationship with others and the blame game that gets attributed to others. And so people will come and say, yeah, well, I would change the way we do this in my house, but my husband, or I would do this, but my child, and there's always that level of blame and offloading onto somebody else. So I work very closely with communication tactics with my clients, because just even structuring a boundary, structuring an ask, structuring a need can be done very easily and empathetically to the other person, and gets you more of what you want in the long run anyways. But it's being able to recognize how you show up in that conversation and the roles that you play and the bad communication you likely bring yourself, because we all do that. And having that self-awareness and, as I said, self-leadership to make the change. And so much of that is in mindset and understanding. I do a big deep dive into cognitive distortions. And in fact, I have a free training on that available on my site for people. So it's really understanding the stories and the mind fuckery that you tell yourself that keeps you playing small, that keeps you stuck, that keeps you not advocating for yourself, not asking for help, or believing that you're not worthy of that. So I really dive deep into that, as I said. And then also mindfulness is such a huge part of that. And I will get on a soapbox any day of the week and say, if you're not meditating or journaling or channeling or like absorbing what's going on inside of you in a way that kind of translates it from feeling to processed emotion and thoughts, then you're not setting yourself up properly either. And it doesn't have to look the same. You don't have to spend an hour doing yoga and then meditating after. It's just finding a way to connect with your physical body. And we talked about movement already, and mind, body, soul connection, really, and understanding how they all work together and taking from each aspect of that to create a life that feels good to you.
Love it. Melissa, if you could put your Instagram in the chat, and then this conversation will end up on the podcast at some point. And in the intro, I'll let everybody know where they can find you on Instagram. Okay. You said something that you talked about self-leadership. And I know really the whole theme here is always leadership. I will never forget this moment. And I didn't understand this. So I never identified as a leader before. I didn't identify as a trailblazer. I didn't identify as a culture shifter, or whatever the heck people want to say. I was just like depressed and miserable and angry. And I was speaking out because I was like desperately searching for another human who I was like, is everyone okay feeling like shit? Like, you're totally okay with this? I don't understand why. But I didn't realize that my questioning made me a leader. I didn't understand that. And I was at a retreat one time, and I said, like, who here in this room is a leader? And nobody like raised their hand, except for one person who was like the CEO of something or like managed people in a corporate setting. And someone else was like, I don't identify as a leader. And meanwhile, she has made like all these huge, like she just lives such an unconventional life, was a blogger, like ridiculous things. She didn't identify herself as a leader. This is a female thing, right? Like, I don't really, is me going to make an impact in the world? Like, does it matter? So I mean, we could go down that rabbit hole as well, but I just wanted to like say that self-leadership is how we lead in the world. Everything that, it doesn't matter if you're doing it at home. It doesn't matter if you're doing it in the workplace, or if you have employees or people, quote unquote, under you, which people are not under you. You're in a community together. You're leading other people, you're making an impact in how they feel. So we are doing that if we're raising humans, and if we are a nice person. We all know what it feels like when an asshole walks into the room. So I don't understand why we don't identify as leaders. Our energy does impact a room. That said, Jackie asked a question, and I want to wrap it up to make sure that we're honoring everybody's time. So we have 10 minutes left, and then I will talk about a fast action bonus, and you ladies are welcome to leave if you want, and I will stay on and answer anybody's questions that's here about business, and I'll do rapid fire Q&A. Jackie asked the question, what would you each say? Oh my gosh, what would you each say that was what moment in your business? What was the moment in your business when you switched a flip? When you switched, oh my God. Can somebody else read this, please? I'm losing it.
Yes,
you get what I'm saying? Okay,
yeah.
Perfect.
What was the moment in your business when a switch flipped that allowed you to up-level or grow to where you are today?
It's been a day. Thank you.
No problem. Oh, do you want me to go then?
Sure. Go.
Honestly, I think for me, for me, it was breath work and hypnotherapy. So I had so much resistance to it, but I was excited and intrigued by it. And I just taking that time to be alone with myself and to allow myself to know what I truly wanted. I think that was something I was desiring. And I kept saying, actually, Heather knows, I want clarity. I want clarity. I want clarity. And I couldn't have it because I was actually too loud in my own head. And it wasn't until I gave myself that space and that quiet and going to that uncomfortable place that I realized I was already doing the things. I was already on that journey. Again, I wasn't waiting I was thinking I had to hit some sort of milestone for it to be quote unquote success or leveling up, but I was actually already on that journey. So Jackie, I think what I would say to you is you're probably already down that path, and you need to look, it's Heather's advice to me just like 2 weeks ago, look for the proof that you're already doing it instead of looking to what you have not yet done.
Love it. Brooke, I'm not going to try to say the question again.
I promise she didn't pay me to say this, but Heather. So before Heather, somebody had said to me like, okay, you now is going to be you $100,000 from now in your business, right? Or wherever you are. And I had to think like, it was more me tuning into like what I wanted to feel each day and aligning my day, my structure. And it took some really uncomfortable conversations with my husband around like how things were going in our home and really tuning in that. And that helped me align and focus more in my business. And as silly as it is, like the way our mornings ran and the way like our evenings went and all those kinds of things, having those conversations. But then truthfully, like when I joined working with Heather, it made a massive difference. And financially, my business has done more than double in the last almost 4 months than it has the entire year. And I've done in the last 4 months more than I did last year in business. So it's blown up. And a lot of that really more than anything was just having somebody to call me out on my shit and hold me accountable and to make me look more within than just looking at the systems and structure. Because I was focused a lot on, well, what other structure should I do? And what other system should I implement? And I was waiting for someone to tell me the system or the secret. And I knew a lot of it. It was the actual taking it and implementing it in the way that aligned for me.
Yeah. And yes, it's having the courage to tell you what I think you need, not what you want, right? So you can get what you want, which is we need to ride that line well, which is, yes, you need a strategy, you need a plan. You can't just meditate your way through everything or just cross your fingers and be like, send me a sign. There is both, but you have to put yourself into that equation too. And it is kind of cool when you're like, oh, I thought this is what I needed. And then over here, I made this little tweak. Oh, that actually, it was emotionally uncomfortable, but it wasn't as hard and you're just getting started. And to play off of what Ashley said, it's, again, giving you what you need, not what you think you need. And I made Ashley do hypnotherapy, and she wouldn't have had that opportunity if I would have said, try this and, put her in a dark room. So sometimes you got to work your sneaky ways with people. Melissa, and you don't have to say me, but I want to know what the switch is, and know that all of you are probably thinking, well, I haven't achieved my results yet, or my desired outcome, or like the next level. There's always a next level vision in your business. So what was that switch for you, Melissa, in any capacity? You're like, now or never, I got to do this.
Yeah. And it's a bit of a combo of both answers originally, because it all happened around the same time for me, which was May, June of this year. So structurally, we moved from a city house to a country home. And with that, decided to give up the childcare that we had coming to the home during the day. And that impacted me because I was working 2 full days, like a Tuesday, Thursday, and I was pushing because that was the time I had. And maybe I'd have some time on Wednesday from my parents helping. But we made a huge change and decided, okay, well, we're both entrepreneurs between my husband and myself, and we're going to share for just the summer the childcare load. And in that, I was able to have consistent daily presence in my business, which was more manageable for me energetically than going hard for 2-3 days and catching up on the weekends, and having just that consistent ability every day. And on top of that, being in a physical environment that was more conducive to private working space. Our family we're just not on top of each other in the same way that we were in our old house. And in the pandemic, that's been a bit of an issue, to say the least. So it was those physical changes. And then I joined Heather in June. And for why I joined was because I felt like I was calling bullshit on myself. Like, I'm a coach who wants to help people, but I don't have a coach in my corner. I can't have this. So I found someone that really I resonated with. And because of that, I've been able to learn even more about how to manage my energy and my time on the days that I'm working consistently. And not only that, but just the community and the opportunities that just seem to kind of come about when women are inspiring each other and working together and finding, oh, this works with me and I'm kind of doing that too. And how can we share? How can we collaborate? And that's been so beautiful. So for me, I've also been able to gain like the consistent income that I wasn't seeing in my business. So no, I am not where I want to be as a whole financially, but that's that end goal. Like, will we ever really be there? But I'm at the goal of having consistent income, which is not happening before. So
love that.
Yeah.
And so what I heard you say is like breaking that like all or nothing pattern that I see so many, call them ambitious, call them whatever you want. Right. But it for me, it was this like, okay, I'm going to go, I'm going to do it. And then you do it and you're so like, fear is so strong that you're just like, I got to push to like run away from the fear, and really settling in and breaking that pattern, because consistency is the game, and it is so unsexy, but that's not the pill everyone wants to buy. So we're all about real stories here, real results. Okay. Where in 30 seconds or less, and I want to know your authentic answer. This is awkward for me to ask. What is different from working within my community or my programs than maybe a different experience that you've had in the past? Energetically, whatever you want to say, you have 30 seconds. So we'll actually go backwards. So we'll start with Melissa, Brooke, Ashley.
So it's hands down the community aspect of it. I worked with a one-on-one coach and just did not receive the same level of inspiration or being able to kind of compare, but in a good way, to troubleshoot with other people, being able to make connections and be held accountable to my ideas. It's the community that you provide that is for sure the game changer for me.
Awesome. Brooke.
I've worked with a few different coaches in the past, one-on-one and group-wise. I feel like the difference for me is it's more authentic. You're meeting me where I'm at versus me feeling like I need to catch up to where you are in your business, is what I felt like before. Previously in programs, I've really felt like I was just a number and I was just another person there for them. And I wasn't getting the one-on-one support. And now I feel like when I do need you, I can reach out, but I also have the community aspect for support too.
Yeah. Yeah. And if I don't hear from you or your mentor doesn't hear from you, we go hunting for you. So you are not a number here. Ashley.
Yeah, I think for me, it's the accountability. It's a lot of work, right? When you have big goals and you really are committed to wanting to change and take action, you take that very seriously. And it's not a one size fits all approach either, right? It's not like, here's my 10-step process and check all these boxes and then you're fixed. It's very tailored, and we all have our own shit that we're going through, and you push us. So that's been very different for me. And as well too, echoing the other women, the community, knowing that I can pretty much put anything in the group and somebody is going to respond, and provide support. So that's been it for me.
Love it. And if you cannot find it yourself, it's like you're asking your one-to-one mentor, or you're coming to me, because I do know everybody kind of little bits. Like I don't know everything about everybody, but it's a magic of creating connections. And sometimes it's like, oh shit, I'm actually just trying to find the easy way out. And I need to just like push through my resistance of actually learning how to meet people and create deeper connections. But regardless, I will say, for selfish reasons, I've loved what I've created because I have an abundance of resources in my back pocket. I've gained so much from my clients as well. And I always tell people, it's not about how many people you're surrounded with, it's the quality. And I'm a huge, huge fan of giving and receiving and allowing things to feel of equal exchange of energy. Like I think as women, we're so used to give, like, help people out and the universe will provide. And it's like, listen, I'm not coaching you for free, but like, can you hold space for me? If you hold space for me, I'm happy to brainstorm this with you, or the giving and receiving, right? So you learn a lot about yourself when you are in communities of like-minded people. And to go back to the beginning of this conversation about comparison, I think it gives you the opportunity to check yourself constantly, because I too am always put in groups. I invest in groups. I invest in experiences where sometimes I'm the little fish in the pond, like the tiniest tiny fish. And, I'm like, oh, I did this. And they're like, you only have one book. How many millions of downloads do you have? Oh, we got 10 more times. And I'm like, okay. And it's like, you're the tiny person, but really being able to discern yourself and be like, it doesn't matter how much I've done or how little I've done compared to these other people. I'm happy in my own body and mind, and I'm content and I'm proud of myself. And I think all of us, all four of us, are really here to take a stand that the better you feel, the bigger impact you make in the world. And we are in whatever year we're in, I don't even know anymore, 2021. I seriously don't even know anymore. And, this is still a new concept. Like, we have these little conversations, these little micro conversations. And then the second we're done here, we go out into the world, and the first woman that we're going to meet, it's going to be a different conversation. And so we have a lot of work to do. And I personally believe that every person that's listening to this is attracted to this conversation because there's a part of it that they're saying, I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of the conversation of making an impact in other women's lives in whatever way you do that, whatever tool, whatever strategy. And I think we're all here to say, like, you need to fucking do that. Go do that. Stop playing small. It's going to be scary. You're going to want to vomit and poop your pants, and that is okay. So to wrap it up, where can people meet you? Ashley, you have a podcast, Instagram, just spell it out for us.
Yeah, thanks, Heather. So my podcast is called Teams with Edge, and I interview leaders and chat about all things leadership, teams, gratitude. So you can check me out pretty much anywhere you can listen to your podcast, and you can follow me on Instagram at ashley.livingstone. There's a million E's in my name, so Heather will put that in the notes.
Perfect. I'll spell it out too. Brooke, where can people find you?
Instagram is probably going to be the fastest. It's Brooke Razzie. It'd be way too complicated to put my actual last name in there. So
awesome. And I will spell that out as well. And Melissa, where can people find you?
So I have a soon to launch podcast that's coming out shortly, but Instagram as well, and Melissa_Giller. And as I mentioned, I have a free training called A Mindset for Miracles, and that is available on my website, melissagiller.com.
Perfect. And what will your podcast be called? Do you know?
It'll be the Life of Soul podcast.
Ooh, the Life of Soul?
Life with Soul.
Life with Soul. Love it. Thank you, ladies, for being here. I so appreciate you, and I'm excited to see where you are 6 months from now. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
I'm just going to... Okay, so I'm recording again. So now I will announce the fast action bonus. So for those of you who are listening, who've been following me for a little bit, who are curious about my Mastery Business program, you can go to heatherchauvin.com/business. And until November 1st, and I'm going to give you the website, I'll post it here in the chat. Until November 1st, what we are doing is we are offering a fast action bonus, which is a one-on-one conversation with me, and it's a business strategy session. So here's the thing. Mastery Business is a 10-month intensive coaching experience. So you get one-on-one access to me. You get daily Voxer access to me. You get a one-on-one mentor who's literally holding your hand to help you with the accountability, with the vision planning of like, what is it in your business that you want and desire? Where do you need to focus your energy and attention? But what I see for a lot of people is we get stuck in the unknown, right? Kind of like Ashley said, is we need the clarity. We don't know where to focus our energy and attention. And so one of the things that I think is really, really important is if you are able to have that strategy within the first 30 days, my goal for you is to get your financial ROI within the first 30 days and hit the ground running. So for those of you who book your decision support call with somebody on my team, and you can do that at heatherchauvin.com/business, you qualify for Mastery Business, our program. You get in, you will get a one-on-one business strategy session with me. I only do this with my high-level clients right now, which is valued at $1,000. And so that is your fast action bonus to get you out of your head, out of a state of fear, out of, I should do this. Oh, I should know how to do this. out of the hustle, out of the struggle. Like, stop what you're doing. All you have to do is lean in and to book a call. You book the call, you have a conversation with somebody on my team. You say, this is where I'm at. This is what I've tried. This is where I want to go. This is what's working. This is what's not working. And so inside of our Mastery Business Program, we are really here to support people who want to make money in their business, who want to make an impact. Because what I notice is a lot of us, a lot of women especially, love to create a lot of busy work and they want to make a big impact. But there's strategy to making money, and there's also strategy to receiving money. So when we grow up giving, overgiving, and not being able to ask for help, we put ourselves in a corner and then we feel depleted, miserable, burnt out, and overwhelmed. So for those of you who are like, I'm done, I want to feel amazing, I want my life, my personal and professional life, to feel sustainable. I want my business to be profitable so I can sleep at night, and I want to make an impact. I really want to do work that makes an impact in the world and creates change. Because like I said earlier, and I say this all the time, the better you feel, the more alive you become. It's a win-win. It's a win-win. You sleep better, your health is better, you're kinder, you're more present in your family, you feel alive, your relationships are thriving, and your business is thriving because you have the time, energy, you have the management, you have the team to support you. And if you don't know how, right, that big H word, you're like, I don't know how, Heather, I don't know how. That is what we are here to teach you. We are here to teach you how. It's okay to be scared. It's okay of the unknowns. All you have to do is be coachable, and you have to be open to receiving help. And so a lot of women who schedule those decision support calls are like, I don't know how I'm going to be able to financially do this. And we have some qualifying questions for you, because if you are not there yet, you can start in a smaller program. We have those as well, because we will not take food off the table. If you cannot take food off the table, we're going to meet you where you're at. Like Brooke said, I'm going to meet you where you're at. I am not going to be one of those people that tells you to swipe a credit card and then wonder how you're going to pay your mortgage or your rent or food. But I do want you to make an impact. And in order to do that, you have to UpLevel. You have to do things that scare you. You have to, work on the belief systems. You have to work on your actions. You have to work on being open to receiving. And we teach you all of these skills that we are definitely not taught in school and post-secondary education. So you have to book your call before November 1st. Okay, so someone's asking me, or do they have to be accepted into the program in order to receive? Okay, so someone's asking, is the fast action bonus available if they book a call, or do they have to be accepted in the program in order to receive that bonus? So the bonus is only if you are accepted into the program. So because if I give you that, one-on-one coaching session by itself, you're going to be all motivated and excited, and you're not going to know how to implement. So if you book the call and you qualify inside of the program, it's a good fit for you. We can provide the service that you're seeking. And you book your call before November 1st, then you get that bonus. But if you are not inside of the program because it's not a good time for you, or it's not the support that you're seeking, then you will not get the bonus. So it's only included if you join our program. A lot of other questions that I get from people, or, I'll just kind of go over the things I hear over and over again. And so now this is really it's not so much about my program. Okay. So take that off the table. But these are the objections that I often hear from women. My partner won't let me do this. And so I want you to think, whether it's my program, whether it's that other program that you want to do, that other coach that you want to invest in, whether it's the new pair of shoes, whether it's that bubble bath you want to take at night, I just want to talk about this a little bit. So I often hear, my partner won't let me. Whoever your partner is, my partner won't let me. My partner doesn't agree. My partner. Melissa talked about this a little bit. And I want to be radically honest with you. When there is a want, a need, a desire inside of you for more, for something, for change, for help, and maybe it's not all or nothing, right? Maybe you've never asked for help before and I'm not your first go-to. You got to make a call with somebody else. You got to have a therapy session. You got to do something, right? Maybe that is, I'm not your first. But my point is, you have to speak up. You have to use your voice. You have to honor what your needs, wants, and desires are. And sometimes when we are stepping into something, this is our first opportunity for growth. And what I mean by that is, I believe the second a woman makes a decision to change her life, that's when everything that's been holding her back is going to bubble up to the surface. And so you have to have those uncomfortable conversations. You have to say, I see that you don't understand why I need this, but I need you to hear me that I'm struggling. And I need you to hear me that I need support. And you are not my sole support. Because you also have to realize that partnership, there's a lot of ego and there's a lot of shame that comes up with it around, if I do this for myself, then I'm taking away from other people. And these are the stories that we need to unlearn as women, that by giving to ourselves, by feeling whole in our mind and in our body and in our businesses, we are not taking away from anybody, like ever. We are giving more because you're coming from this place of nourishment, and you have to think about the bigger picture. If I'm making more, I can give more, right? If I'm learning from a mentor or whoever on how to make more money, then I can give more to my family. And then I can donate to that cause and I can get a better good night's sleep. And then maybe my partner cannot work as much. And so there's so much here, right? There's so much to unpack. And another thing is, I want to talk about, I don't have enough money. I can't afford it. I believe that is true. When people say I can't afford it, I truly believe that thought. And I believe that story that people tell themselves. I will not be a person to say, that's lack mindset. That's blah, blah, blah. But what I do see people do is use that excuse to stay small and to hide. We use I can't afford it as an easy way to get out of something. And then we get social feedback and the self-fulfilling prophecy of like, look, see, told you I can't afford it. See, look, my car just broke down. See, my kids need this, blah, 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 blah. Here's my point. I'm going to tell you a quick story. I was 23 years old when I signed up for my first $10,000 coaching program. And I was working a government job as a social worker. My paychecks were about $300 a month. And I remember telling myself, if you don't do something, what is the worst case scenario? Like I could feel it. And I knew that divorce was on the horizon. I knew that my mental health was suffering. I could just see and feel that horrible things were going to happen. And I remember investing, and I had a call with the coach, and I really trusted the coach, and she changed my life. Like it was a really good experience. That was a really, really good experience. And I said to her, I don't know how I'm going to afford this. I really don't know, because I've never done that before. Like this was the first time for me. I've never invested at that level for myself. And she said to me, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. Let's make a plan. Let's execute on the plan. And let's make it happen. And I said yes to her, because what I really valued of this woman that I didn't tell you is before I did that $10,000 coaching program in my 20s, early 20s, having literally no money and like maxed out credit cards, was I invested in $1,000 program with this woman. And that $1,000 program changed my life. And so this woman already changed my life, and I trusted her, and I knew that I needed to change. And that was also the same year that we were getting married. So we were already putting money into a wedding that we quote unquote couldn't afford. And here I am investing in a $10,000 program that I believed I couldn't afford. Keyword believed. And I really, in this conversation, again, this has nothing to do with working with me. I want you to see how our brain limits us in our capacity and possibility. And so what I did when I had that conversation with her, she said, I'm like, okay, what do I need? She's like, well, I would need the $500 deposit today. And I was like, I have $500 on my credit card. And then, something switched in my brain where I started asking myself, how can I? And instead of thinking about the $10,000, I started thinking about the next $1,000 and then the next $1,000 and then the next $1,000 instead of catastrophizing in my mind of worst case scenario. So I believe that there's a difference between a person who keeps swiping their credit card and saying, this person's going to save my life and this person's going to save my life and this person's going to save my life versus the person, and these are the women that I work with, this woman or this person is going to help me save myself. This person is going to help me save myself. Because I truly believe that when you take back control of how you want to feel, when you understand how to do that, when you understand how to own who you want to be and you develop those deep self skills and you can co-create with somebody else and someone else can listen to you and tell you what you really need, not what you think you need, this is where your life will change. It's not about talking about your problem and following somebody else's blueprint. The blueprints are there and some of it will work and some of it won't. But the key is, are you willing to really give yourself permission to be all in on what you want and desire in your personal and professional life? You can make the $1 million. You can get out of debt. You can help those people. You can have those emotionally uncomfortable conversations and you can learn how to parent your children without ever raising your voice again. I truly mean that. But are you willing to take a chance on yourself? Are you willing to show up and look yourself in the mirror and say, I am worthy of being invested in? Are you willing to say, even though I may not believe it right now in this moment, I believe that this woman believes that I can, because I won't lie to you if I don't think you can. Are you willing to take a bet on yourself? So I've been talking too much. I'm going to wrap it up here. heatherchauvin.com/business. Thank you. Well, that's it. And I wanted to thank you for listening today because I truly believe you are exactly where you need to be. And now I have a favor to ask. In exchange for the value you've gained from this free podcast, I'd be forever grateful if you would leave us a review on iTunes. Share the show with at least one woman in your life who you feel would benefit, and or take a screenshot and share it on social media. And always feel free to tag me at Heather Chauvin. The world does not benefit from your guilt and fatigue. The world needs more women who are willing to unlearn everything they've been taught. Women who are courageous enough to feel good and not let guilt run the show. I believe you are that courageous woman. To see if my community and coaching is the right fit for you and your big vision, the relationships you desire, the money, time, energy that you know deep down you are capable of creating, then head on over to heatherchauvin.com/work with me. That's Heather Chauvin, CHAUVIN.com/work with me, and take the next step in the right direction. Taking a stand for how you feel means you are taking a stand for how your children show up as adults. And if you have a personal question or topic you'd like me to answer on the podcast, text me 313-710-5199. 313-710-5199. You are so worthy of feeling good. Now go do some scary shit.